And the people of Chicago want us to go there. And if you look at the crime that's taken place in Chicago in the last 2 weeks, just take a look. It's on the front page of every newspaper. It's out of control. The mayor is incompetent, and the governor is a big fat slob.
It's President Donald Trump yesterday talking about Chicago and public safety. Now he says that city leaders and the states need to ask the Trump administration to come in. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. Happy pre-Thanksgiving. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell to stay up to date with the Center Square here on YouTube. And go to thecentersquare.com and get the newsletter in your inbox. But you can wake up with us each and every weekday morning. Join the live chat. Programming note, I'm going to be off, of course, Thanksgiving and Black Friday. I'm taking Black Friday off as well. We'll be back at it live Monday, and trust me, we got a ton to tackle, so be sure to stay up to date with us here. So yesterday, President Donald Trump had the turkey pardoning ceremony, and the White House was having a little fun with it and made this kind of cinematic video of sorts that's... the production quality definitely ramped up.
Destiny is seasonal. Gobble and Waddle stand on the edge of history. One tradition decides their fate. This year, the stakes have never been higher. The stage is set.
I hereby grant you a...
So the White House sharing that video. They also shared another short edit of Pardon Day at the White House, where President Donald Trump talked to guests and ultimately pardoned the birds. Here is that video. And of course, yeah, you can see, for those who are listening, two beautiful birds walking around the White House in the hallways, gobbling it up, even sitting on some White House beds. A lot of interesting camera shots there of turkeys around the White House. Now, some people may joke that, well, there's a lot of turkeys in the White House regularly. But the president also having some fun talking about pardoning individuals and turkeys as well. He wanted the name Wobble and Gobble, which were the two turkeys that were pardoned, a couple of different names to pardon them ultimately. Here's, again, the president yesterday having some fun during the turkey pardoning ceremony.
The turkeys being pardoned today go by the names of Gobble and Waddle. When I first saw their pictures, I thought we should send them, I shouldn't say this. I was going to call them Chuck and Nancy. But then I realized I wouldn't be pardoning them. I would never pardon those two people. I wouldn't pardon them. I wouldn't care what Melania told me. Darling, I think it would be a nice thing to do. I won't do it, darling.
So Trump making that joke about Nancy and Chuck, but he doesn't want to pardon them. We'll see what ultimately transpires from that. But he also took time to criticize pardons by previous presidents.
But before going any further, I want to make an important announcement, because you remember last year, after a thorough and very rigorous investigation by Pam Bondi and all of the people at Department of Justice, the FBI, the CIA, the White House Counsel's Office, and the Department of Everything. We have a Department of Everything. You know what that is? I think that's called the White House. Into a terrible situation caused by a man named Sleepy. He used an auto pen last year for the turkey's pardon. So I have the official duty to determine, and I have determined, that last year's turkey pardons are totally invalid, as are the pardons of about every other person that was pardoned other than, where's Hunter? No, Hunter's was good. That was the one pardon, Pam, that was good, right? The rest of them are all invalid. I don't know what the hell you're going to do about that, but now we're going to take a little of the joking. That is a mess. But they're hereby null and void. The turkeys known as Peach and Blossom last year have been located and they were on their way to be processed, in other words, to be killed. But I have stopped that journey, and I am officially pardoning them, and they will not be served for Thanksgiving dinner. We saved them in the nick of time. This one has plenty of time, but they were saved in the nick of time.
So not only is he pardoning this year's pair of turkeys, he's also pardoning the pair of turkeys from last year, saying that those were invalid because the pardons were signed with an auto pen. Interesting how the president works in these types of things in jest. But he also took time to be thankful. The president thanked a whole host of individuals and organizations, including the National Guard.
And I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank Pete Hegseth. The job you've done here is incredible. And I hear you having the same kind of success in Memphis, Tennessee, where you had an even worse situation. And Memphis crime is down 64% in 3 weeks. And by the time you have 4 or 5 weeks, you're going to have it down almost where there won't be crime. And we could do that in Chicago, by the way, if they would let us. If the mayor was a low IQ person, but he should understand this. This is a very serious thing. You saw all the crime that took place last night, the night before. The woman with the burning, they burned the woman. To be talking about that now, they burned this beautiful woman riding in a train. A man was arrested 72 times. 72 times, think of that. And they'll let him out again. The liberal judges will let him out again. But we're ready to go. You know, we've been moving toward Chicago. We have a governor that thinks it's wonderful that only like 7 people were killed this week. But we are moving toward doing it, and we're going to, if crime gets, it's horrible what's happening in Chicago. We could make Chicago a safe city in a period of 4 weeks. In a period of 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, it would be totally safe. And the people of Chicago want us to go there. And if you look at the crime that's taken place in Chicago in the last 2 weeks, just take a look. It's on the front page of every newspaper. It's out of control. The mayor is incompetent, and the governor is a big fat slob. He ought to invite us in, say, please make Chicago safe. We're going to lose a great city if we don't do it quickly. Make Chicago, we'll do the same thing as we did in D.C., the same thing as we did everywhere we've gone. It's become almost instantly safe. And I want to do it in Chicago. So Governor Pritzker, if you're listening, let's get your act together. Invite us in. We're going to make your place so safe. You're not going to have these crimes that are making the newspapers and the front page of every newspaper and television story, news story. Will make Chicago a safe place very quickly. I looked at the various cases, granting mercy, discovering that the terrible trauma that everyone's going through. And I had a little bit of a Pritzker joke. I was going to talk about Pritzker in size, but when I talk about Pritzker, I get angry because he's not letting us do the job. So I'm not going to tell my Pritzker joke. They have a very cute little joke, you know. Some speechwriter wrote some joke about his weight. But I would never want to talk about his weight. I don't talk about people being fat. I refuse to talk about the fact that he's a fat slob. I don't mention it. On a more serious note, as we gather around the dinner table, I'd like to lose a few pounds too, by the way. And I'm not going to lose it on Thanksgiving, I can tell you that. Because I'm going to have a turkey, but it's not going to be that one.
So again, the president sharing those comments yesterday at the White House, and seemingly on cue, Governor J.B. Pritzker releasing this statement through his campaign website, giving zero thanks to Trump, soaring prices ruining Americans' Thanksgiving dinners. President Donald Trump is ruining Americans' Thanksgiving dinners with soaring prices this holiday season, the statement says. Instead of focusing on quality time together, families are being forced to worry about rising costs, driven by the Trump administration's nonsensical tariffs and damaging economic policies. This means families across the country are being forced to decide what they can and can't afford to put on the table for Thanksgiving. Goes on to talk about Groundwork Collaborative. This is an organization that apparently is meant to reframe policy debates. You can imagine it's probably got a liberal slant to it if the governor's using this, but they say that Groundwork Collaborative shows that wholesale turkey prices are skyrocketing by 40%. Even staples from hams to sauces and onions and creamed corn up as much as 56% from this time last year. That doesn't square with the Farm Bureau. The Farm Bureau says actually prices are 5% less than last year. So do you take Groundwork Collaborative, which is, a organization meant to reframe policy debates and data, or is it the Farm Bureau that you're going to trust when it comes to the Thanksgiving dinner? So Governor Pritzker, in a quote, says Donald Trump doesn't care what families are paying at the checkout line while his administration pushes prices higher.
I was not raising it to
and higher. My administration has been focused on lowering grocery costs and eliminating food deserts. Families should never have to choose between paying their bills and having a Thanksgiving dinner. So that's, again, some of the back and forth between President Donald Trump and Governor J.B. Pritzker heading into the Thanksgiving holiday. And I imagine that after the Thanksgiving holiday, you're going to have all kinds of continued political back and forth. Yes, Thanksgiving, a time when we can just sit around the table, unloosen our belts, and consume copious amounts of delicious food. Hopefully you're able to do that in some fashion with friends or family. If not tomorrow, then sometime over the weekend. And don't forget, you've got Black Friday shopping. You've got Small Business Saturday. What is there? There's Giving Tuesday and a whole bunch of other important times to be thankful and to share what you're thankful for. All right? It's Happy Thanksgiving. It's Illinois in Focus daily each and every weekday morning here with the Center Square.